Welcome to Wednesday Night Live from the Basement. Here's your hosts, Rob, Daryl, and Joe.
Good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday. I'm Rob, coming to you from the basement, joined as usual by Joe and Daryl. How you doing, fellas?
Doing well.
Good. Chris Mann tuning in from Wales. How you doing, my friend?
From Tenby. I believe it's Tenby. I'm
Indeed.
sure he'll tell me if I'm wrong or not, but
Indeed.
I'm pretty sure it is. I haven't talked to Chris for a couple of days. I'm kind of worried about him there. He didn't text me for a couple of days. It's like, what the hell, man?
I know he hasn't texted me either. Maybe he's mad that I couldn't do a stream on the weekend.
Yeah. Maybe.
It was just me and Chris on Sunday.
Was it?
I know. I saw. We had the postponed family Thanksgiving. That's why I couldn't be there. So.
And I had football. Actually, the next probably 6 weeks. Hopefully, if everything goes the way it's supposed to, I will have football most Sundays. So, again, Chris, it's not you, it's football.
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you, it's me. I'm going to go with that. That's very good.
Exactly. Tim, just stick around, my friend. It'll be worth it.
Well, we'll see. Yeah.
Well, you're right. Richard, how you doing? Record Hound, welcome. Alex, stick around and find out. We're going to chit-chat for a few minutes, and then, we'll see.
Yeah.
Where do we start? There's lots of things to catch up on. I think the obvious thing that we got to talk about off the top is the fact that my Jays are in the World Series.
Where's
I
Richie?
will admit, I was a little skeptical in Game 7. I went into the game optimistic. I yelled at the TV a lot because I tend to be, let's just say critical when they're not performing to the level with which I would expect them to perform, shall we say. So, they didn't start out well in Game 7, but then the tides turned about halfway through, and it was great fun to watch. I was 15 years old the last time the Jays were in the World Series. So it's been a long time coming. And I words can't begin to describe how excited I am. It's more than just a game of baseball. This is a team that is uniting a country, and it's something special. So
Where is he? Rob, I told you to believe. I told you should believe. And this is why I sound.
Exactly. So, yeah, Friday night, Game 1 in Toronto. I'm not naive enough to think we're the favorites because we're certainly not. But I think it's an interesting matchup between the Dodgers and us because we play two very different kinds of baseball. LA has very strong pitching and relies on the long ball, and we are a contact team. Base hits, bunts, move the runners around. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup. Two very different styles of baseball.
And I think, as we said before the last series, because I think we knew that the Mariners were going to be as the Mariners were. I mean,
right.
Cal Raleigh, all the guys that they've got. Yes. We knew that was going to be the case, but we had home field advantage. We do have that again. It didn't mean shit in the first couple games, unfortunately, but it did at the end, I think. I think it did in those last couple games. Obviously, we won them, so it did make a difference. But so that helps. For whatever that little bit adds, there is slight advantage Blue Jays. Yes. There's a lot of advantage Dodgers, but there's a slight advantage Blue Jays for sure, obviously, because of home field.
I don't think they're going to roll over us like all the American commentators think are going to happen, because bearing in mind, before the ALDS started, all the, the Fox commentators and the ESPN guys were all like, Yankees are going to bulldoze the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. And then when we went into the series against Seattle, Toronto doesn't stand a chance against Seattle. Well, fuck you guys. We beat them both. We're still here.
Yep.
Go screw yourself.
They didn't realize the dynamic of this team, and because they never followed them, right? They didn't give a shit about them the whole year.
Right. Now they don't even give a shit about them now. They have.
No, they don't. No, which is fine, which is perfectly fine. Absolutely. So, and I don't know about you, but I mean, The Yankees, I was super happy to beat because
Me
everybody
too.
wants to beat the Yankees. Hate the freaking Yankees.
Yep.
The Mariners, I felt a little bit for. I still
did
wanted
too.
to win, but because they played very good. They
did.
seemed like decent dudes.
Yep.
You know, there was no bullshit. There was no like Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge. If you put them together, one is just head and shoulders that much in the public's opinion anyway.
Yes.
Better person, right? Like,
Yes.
well, just. I would go hang out with Cal Raleigh. I don't think I'd piss on Aaron Judge if he was on fire on the street. So,
Nor would I.
yeah.
Nor would I.
So
You're absolutely
you know,
right.
with that said, let's go get the Dodgers, right?
Yep.
So,
And I mean, we got to talk. I mean, Springer's home run made all the difference. And I would say, being the rabid Jays fan that I am, that's in the top 3 moments in Jays history.
yeah.
I maintain that the greatest moment in Jays history was Jose's bat flip, and then Carter's home run to win the World Series, and then Springer's home run to give us the lead in this game. But incredible moments. I mean, definitely one for the history books. So
I was at Darius Rucker, which I'll talk a little bit about more later, but I was at Darius Rucker. So everybody it wasn't on the big screens. They didn't put it up on any TVs or anything like that. So everybody had their phone, but some
Right.
people were watching the Sportsnet app. Some people were watching their SaskTel app, and some, like myself, were watching their Access app, and they were all different levels. So, you know, I'm watching, it's 2 strikes, so it's close. And there's just this big, massive cheer because everybody was just that little bit ahead of me, but I still watched it anyway. And then like the second that they struck him out, the lights went down and Darius started. It's like they were standing on the side of the stage. Okay, we're going to let this finish
yeah,
for one way or the other. And then we're
Yep.
going to, it was got the strikeout and the lights went down and they came out, and he was unbelievably good. So
I have trained all my friends, and I think I even said it to Tim, who was texting me during the game. I said, guys, I have IPTV, so it's internet TV. So there's about a 30-second delay. If something happens, wait a minute before you text me. Don't ruin it for me.
yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah. It happens in your own house sometimes. There's been times where Joanne's been watching, she decided to go to bed already, the football game's on or whatever. And from one cable box to the next, she's cheering. And it's like, what? Oh, that. Okay, sure. So, but yeah.
well, Chris, you make it interesting. Yes, we often wonder that too. There's the answer that I believe, but I won't say. And I think the other answer is because there are players from around the world. There are players from Mexico. There are players from the Dominican. There are players from, you know, Canada, America, multiple different countries. So is it a stretch to call it the World Series? It absolutely is. I'll just leave it at that.
But we can't change it now. So, but yeah,
Right.
we'll go with the nationalities, I think is the best. So,
And let's be honest, if MLB had their way, there wouldn't be a team in Toronto. They
correct.
don't like us. They never have. It's not good for TV ratings and TV revenue, especially when we're in the final. So It is what it is. Enough about baseball because this is not a baseball thing. The other big thing, obviously, and Joe will want to talk about it. We lost Ace last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Daryl, though, we've been sitting here monopolizing things.
Sorry,
How about
Daryl.
yourself? I mean, you've listened to a little bit of Kiss. I mean, you're not the posters on the wall kind of guy like I am, but I think he touched a lot of people in some way, shape, or form, whether he himself was an artist that you listen to or he influenced artists that you listen to. Like the guys from Primus, I would fairly safely bet listen to Kiss at some point. I think that and maybe not, I don't know that for sure, but I would think that there's a little bit of that going on.
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure, but I would think any bands that have done the masks, I mean, as strange as it might sound, I would hazard a guess that the guys from Slipknot probably were influenced by AC/DC. Primus probably just with their style because it's a weird
Yeah,
way
maybe.
of performing. And I mean, even today, I mean, you talk to teenagers. I mean, every kid knows Thunderstruck, and that's a though. Now here's a funny one. Every kid knows Thunderstruck, but one of my colleagues was asking, and you guys are going to love this because the kids were like, "Who is this?" And they were playing the song on the intercom system, and she goes, "What do you mean you don't know who the Tragically Hip are? The youth today have got no idea about the Tragically Hip, but you put Thunderstruck on, you put Enter Sandman on, they know they all know them."
Well, it's encouraging
I
that
think
they
it
know
has a
some
big
of the
influence on everyone.
encouraging they know some of the older stuff, right? I mean, that's good. I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't radio in the same way that there was when we were younger. So
No. No.
I guess the exposure to music is a little different. So are they doing a funeral, Joe? Like a big
I think
private thing or public thing or?
I think it's in the next couple of days. I know that Gene and Paul were getting together and going wherever it's going to be. I would imagine it's going to be in New York because that's kind of not only because of New York Groove in the song, but that's Ace's city, I would think. So I think there's going to be something. I don't know if there will be, there should have been something for an Eddie Van Halen, but maybe it was the guys from Van Halen that stopped that. Who knows if there'll be something like they did for Freddie Mercury when everybody got together and did something for Freddie, like they did for Taylor Hawkins, things like that. I mean, there are certain guys that really have touched a lot of different people, whether they picked up the guitar because of it, or they put on face paint because of it, or they just joined a band because of it and they got into something. So it's, again, you see on Facebook, you see the different comments from a lot of different people, and sometimes you're surprised by the people that were touched by him. And you know what? He was a pretty good guitar player. He wasn't the best guitar player, but he had an amazing style, and he did a lot of, obviously, the theatrics of Kiss, but he brought a lot of that to it. Obviously, the spoken guitar and all that stuff. And, it's just, like I said, he really did influence a lot of people. So it's a big loss for a lot of people. And it was nice. You sent me a note and 2 or 3 or 4 other people sent me a note along the way. Chris Mann, I think Richard sent me a note, and Richard's a big Kiss fan as well. And he and Trevor talked a little bit about it on his stream last Friday and that. So yeah, he'll be missed. Again, he hasn't really done a whole bunch in the last little while. He's been touring, and I think for the most part sounding okay from reviews that I'd seen, sometimes on, sometimes off, but he sure made an impact for like 10 years between 75 and 85. And he had some good guys in his band along the way, and Fraley's Comet and stuff. Anton Fig, the drummer from David Letterman's band, was on this album, and he's on Frehley's Comet. And there's just been a lot of guys that he's played with. And, it's the bands that have opened up for Kiss as well. They always had good things to say about Ace. I think not so much about Gene sometimes, understandably. But I think Ace and Peter hung out, got along better with some of the touring supporting acts, especially when they got that much bigger, and Gene and Paul's egos got that much bigger as well. So, yeah.
There you go. Apropos, rest in peace, Ace.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a really good quote. I can't remember where it was. It's not that he went to heaven. He just went back to his home planet or something along those lines. So I thought that was pretty good. So yeah, so he's gonna hang out with us tonight, and I'm here too, Rob. Don't forget about me over here. So
all right, Mr. Gruber.
Yeah.
Anything else exciting to talk about? Daryl's back to work, not Hunt Week anymore.
No, I'm actually acting administrator right now. I'm a VP this week.
Oh boy.
And at least I don't have to make the major decisions, but man, I have my principal qualifications, but I'm teetering on whether I actually want to do it or not, because my way of wanting to do things and some other administrators' ways of wanting to do things are two totally different things. And I don't know, man. we're from a different generation of how to behave in school. And I'm not saying we didn't do dumb things and we didn't toe the line, or we
Right.
went over the line a little bit, but man,
Sure.
I learned some stats today. You know, we have statisticians up here right now because all the boards are being audited and all that because of what's going on with the Toronto and London boards. And I learned some interesting stats about like lates, not just at my school but across the province. Like my high school last year, we only have 150 kids in my school. There were over 3,000 lates in my school last year.
Whew.
Wow.
You know, it's
And
funny.
that's in a small school.
It's funny. My wife and I talk about that a lot because we walk my son to school and it's just down the street. And, you know, we get there and we hang out with my son for a few minutes. The bell goes and he goes in. And every day we probably pass 40 or 50 people just not hurrying to get to school, just walking. You're like, the bell rang like 5 minutes ago. It's like no one has the concept of you got to be somewhere on time anymore. It's just not a thing.
No, it's not a thing.
Don't get it.
And I think part of the problem is this is just my opinion. And I'm not saying in my profession or your profession, but there's so many professions. Like the kids up here, if they show up late for work, an hour late, nobody cares. Oh,
Right.
It's nice to see you. At least you came, right? And the concept of time as money seems to be lost. But hey,
Yeah.
it's neither here nor there. At least in my school, like I don't deal with the stuff they deal with in Toronto and things. There's no violence in my school. There's there's some substance stuff, but
Right.
other than that, it's a pretty good school. The kids are pretty decent. It's just you get a headache just from dealing. There's that saying, right? You deal 90% of your time with 10% of the same, that kind of thing. So
Sounds like my job. 90% of my time is 10% bullshit. Yep. We were very excited.
other than that, I mean, it's been a good day. It's been a good week. I'm acting until Monday, until my coworker. Well, my VP just got married over the hunt break, so she's on her honeymoon or whatever.
Nice.
So
We were very excited. Parker's back to school now. They were out of school for a week because they had a fire. in the
Oh
school.
yeah, maybe you mentioned that last week.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
We got a call at 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning last week that there'd been a fire at the school in the mechanical room. Apparently it was minor, but it still took them 8 days to get everything cleaned up and everything working again and
Mhm.
whatever. So they were finally back yesterday, and my wife. Yeah.
did they do the whole online learning thing, or did they let them off for the week?
No, that was the intention. So my son's only in he's in a grade 3-4 split. He's in the grade 4 part of it. And she didn't schedule any class time online, but she gave a list of, here's some things that if you could accomplish before we get back, that would be great. And I'd say we got about halfway done the list.
Yeah.
But no, it was, flashbacks of the COVID lockdowns. I don't ever want to do online learning ever again.
nope.
Nope.
Mr. Walker, how you doing, man? No, you haven't missed anything. We were waiting just for you to get here because
We were exactly.
tonight is an incredibly exciting topic. This is probably going to be the greatest episode we've ever done of this show. This is by request of Joe, who just disappeared. There he is.
No, I'm
Joe's
back.
been asking us to do this for a long, long time. And if you saw the title, no, we're not talking about albums from 1969. We are, in fact, talking tonight about Bryan Adams. This is Bryan Adams night because that is Joe's favorite artist, and that's what we're talking about. And before you click away and go, fuck that, I don't want to hear about Bryan Adams for 2 hours. We've done connections episodes before where it's like someone shows a record and, well, it's connected to this record because, this producer or this guy plays the flute or, whatever the hell it is. So it's not just going to be Bryan Adams, but that's the focus because, we want to honor Joe's favorite musician. So
That's correct. Exactly.
that is how we are. Tim thought it was a joke when I told him that we were doing Bryan Adams. I'm like, no, man, we were doing Bryan Adams tonight for sure. So there will be other things beyond Bryan Adams, but somehow it all connects back to Bryan Adams. So before we kick this off, I got to show this. I've seen Bryan Adams a couple times. This is my favorite concert T-shirt ever. I bought it on the Reckless tour, and it miraculously, I don't know, it shrunk. I didn't get any bigger. It got smaller.
Okay.
So it says on the front, obviously, 69, just do it. I wish I could wear this fucking shirt because that would be great. You know, you're walking through the grocery store like this, right?
That's right.
And on the back it says, just when the neighbors thought it was safe to come out and start bitching about shit again, we turned the volume back up. And then it says the Bryan Adams Reckless Tour. I think there's a year on there. No, there's no year on there. Whatever the 30th anniversary was, it's like 10 years ago. So there you go. 69,
nice.
Just do it.
Very nice.
So do you want me to go first? And then you guys can, I'm going to do that because I have on my desk, I should be embarrassed about this, but on my desk, I have everything that Bryan Adams has ever put out. I'm not going to show all of it, so don't panic and click away. But I have everything here because in case you guys show something that's linked to Bryan Adams, I can pull up that thing that is linked to Bryan Adams. So here we go. We're going to start with, God damn it, the one album I forgot to pull, I think.
I'm going to start with the one I don't have pulled out. Please hold.
Please hold. Please hold.
So while we have a second, Cassius Culpepper is the band that opened up for Darius Rucker. Seek this guy out. You guys will dig him, I think. Cassius Culpepper. The other guy was Tyler Braden, which is kind of a standard country guy going on right now. But Cassius Culpepper, I didn't want to forget that. He opened for Darius Rucker. And go ahead. You're back. Go ahead.
Okay. If we're going to start talking about Bryan Adams, there's only one place to start. And it's this album here, Sweeney Todd, If Wishes Were Horses. It is a gatefold, so I have to show it. Ta-da. I'll come back to what the gatefold is in a minute. This is a album from 1977. Sweeney Todd is a Canadian band. You would know them by their hit Roxy Roller. Sounds like a woman singing it. It is not. It's a guy by the name of Nick Gilder, who would go on to have a solo hit, Hot Child in the City. You probably know that. When Nick Gilder left this band, they needed a lead singer. And they recruited this guy with the long hair and the stripy shirt right there. And that is one, as it is credited on the album, Bryan Guy Adams. And there he is on the back of the album. And I would say that other than the Topless Horse Lady, this album sucks.
Yeah. Other than the cover art, yeah, kind of.
It's pretty bad. It's how do you describe it, Joe? They're
I don't know.
Lamb-ish.
I mean, it's nothing like the first one because I like the first one, not just for Roxy Roller, but Roxy. I mean, that album was a little more guitar rock and stuff. I don't know where they went. It's like maybe they thought, oh shit, we had this big hit. Let's see what else they'll enjoy, and let's try this. And then they were done after that. So there was no more. I'm sure the guys went on to elsewhere, including Bryan, obviously. But it was nothing like the first one. So it was that much more annoying that it wasn't good. It also had nothing. It was nothing like the first one. At least if you were close to the first one, maybe. But yeah,
right. Yeah, it's I only have it as a novelty, right? Because it is what it is. He looks, like I said, he looks like a bit of a goof there. It's terrible. After this, he would release a disco single called Let Me Take You Dancing, which I don't have. It's shit as well. And then he discovered the rock and roll thing. Or maybe he was always wanted to do, but this is how he making it. Anyway, after the shitty disco single, A&M signed him to make a rock record, and we're going to talk about that. So if you want to talk Bryan Adams, this is where we start. Sweeney Todd, If Wishes Were Horses from 1977.
So he was born in 59, I believe. right? So he'd be 17, 18-ish on that.
Yep. Yes, sir. What are we saying here? Richard knows that Nick Gilder's song on Record Hound says, Hot Child in the City and You Really Rock Me. I forgot about You Really Rock Me.
He also he co-wrote The Warrior by Scandal, which is a fantastic song. Yeah. And he does a really good job of it when he sings it live, actually. Yeah. And he also co-wrote Rated X on Pat Benatar's second album, I think, which is also a fantastic song. So, yeah, Nick had some songs in him and then kind of dried up, but he's still around. He's still playing. He still sounds okay, and he does those songs. So that was good.
Andrew's here. The only guy that likes Bryan Adams more than Joe.
Yeah. Well,
Andrew lost his first YouTube channel because Bryan Adams is a prick. So.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. Which one of you gentlemen wants to go next?
Daryl, you go ahead.
Chomping at the bit, but we'll let Daryl go.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Try to get through this. Hopefully, my kids don't start fighting again. That's why I
hit listen to Bryan Adams then.
Yeah. All right. So I actually put a little bit of thought into this one and did quite a bit of research because as much as I know Bryan Adams, I didn't know that much Bryan Adams. So what I'm going to do is, I guess, as a history teacher, I'm going to give a little bit of a history lesson today, kind of starting with his maybe teen years and then moving up until about 1994, 95. So in researching, Bryan Adams has cited at least 8 to 10 musicians that influenced him to become who he was as an artist. And you were just talking about Sweeney Todd, which I'll talk about later. So, spoiler alert, I'll be showing that. But part of that whole Sweeney Todd thing is kind of like that glam rock stuff that was going on. And he's admitted that he was influenced by glam rock and things like that. But not only was he influenced by that, but he did a cover, I think it was, or no, he didn't do a cover. It was for a tribute concert to this gentleman, Elvis Presley. He did Hound Dog, which he states is one of his favorite songs, for one, and claims that it's his favorite Elvis song. So he was heavily influenced as a child and as a teenager by Elvis Presley. And then as he got older, just before his glam rock days, he was also influenced by this gentleman here, Elton John, who seems to be and Chris and I talked about this on Sunday. I brought up Elton John. I don't know too many people that don't like Elton John. I mean, you might not like everything that he's put out, but it'd be hard pressed to know too many people that outright dislike Elton John and his music. And Bryan Adams has come straight out and said, Elvis, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, Elton John, those were some of his biggest influences. So I will start this episode off with his influences from the start. And that's how he kind of became a rock and roller, glam rocky thing. Don't know where the disco came in, like you said. He must have been influenced by somebody.
It was a girl. It was probably a girl.
But other than that, that's, I guess, maybe the start of his career is how he came to be, is through his influences.
Throughout this episode, I'll jump in with useless Bryan Adams information.
Good.
Because I can. But speaking of Elvis, so Bryan Adams Unplugged, which I really wish was on vinyl because it's actually a really good concert. One of the songs that did not make the concert special and did not make the album, but is on one of the singles that accompany this, he wrote a song called Hey Elvis, and it's a great song. I love it. That's it.
That's it. That's all.
That's it. That's all. All right, Joe.
Oh, and just for the record, those two albums that I showed are amazing.
Yes.
Most Elvis is good. And I mean, I've got more than just this, but I mean, the Elton John, if that's what you want, is the greatest hits. I mean, that first one's a great one.
Rick's saying he saw him do Hound Dog at the Commodore in Vancouver in 81. That's cool. All right, Joe.
All right, I'm up, eh? Okay. Where to start? Oh, I might as well start with, I'll start with the one that we've talked about a lot before. I'm going with, and two things I need to clarify. One is that I do not hate Bryan Adams. I just don't enjoy listening to him all that much anymore. So I don't know if that's the same thing or not, but that's the truth. And in fact, I even took his name for a little while when I got into radio. I think I've told this story before. We're sitting there. It's the first couple of days of radio broadcaster class. And my name, Joe Hattisbeck, doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. So they suggested that I come up with something. So up on the wall, it was the days of 45s, and there was cover sleeves up there. So there was Bryan Adams and there was Corey Hart. So I was Brian Hart. So I even named myself after him for a little while. And I probably enjoyed him a lot more back then too, actually. It's just more recently that I've grown to dislike hearing a couple songs. I don't mind some of the songs. So to clarify, which I do every time we say that he's my least favorite artist. But anyway, so an all Elvis show. Yeah.
We need to do it. Absolutely. And Richard, you should be our guest for that.
There you go. That'd be awesome. So with all that said, I have gone with and I alluded to it a little bit a couple of weeks ago when we did our connections, where Jim Vallance has been a big part of Bryan Adams, and they wrote a bunch of songs, and they wrote a bunch of songs for different artists. So I'm going down the songs by different artists route, and we'll start off just again because we've talked about them a little bit already, but we'll go with Kiss and Creatures of the Night, because War Machine is a song written by Bryan Adams and Jim. He's even taken it out of the plastic. This one's still shiny. I think this is a German copy, not that it makes a difference. And normally the German copies didn't have the stylized S's, but War Machine on here, written by Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance. And there was another one on here too, but I can't remember the other one. Oh yeah, Rock and Roll Hell. That's it. So a couple of songs written by Bryan Adams for a band you wouldn't necessarily associate him with, but they took a lot of different songwriters. They got into Desmond Child later on, things like that. And then only a twofer because it's the same band, but he also wrote a song called Down on Your Knees from this Killers album. And both of these still have Ace playing on them, kind of, for the most part. But anyway, they don't have Peter on the drums anymore. Eric Carr's already joined the band at this point. But Down on Your Knees from Killers, War Machine, and Rock and Roll Hell, a couple of songs written by Bryan Adams, along with Jim Vallance in those cases anyway. And he might have had Paul Stanley help out a little bit on some of them. But there you go. His contributions to a couple of Kiss albums.
So as I said, I would jump in with stupid Bryan Adams information. So Bryan has his own label called Bad Records that he started a couple years ago. And the very first release that he did on Bad Records was his version on a 45 of War Machine backed with Rock and Roll Hell. So you can buy that from the Bad Records website. I did not, because $40 for a single, Bryan can go piss up a rope.
Plus, it's not that good of a version.
No,
I mean,
no.
The song is the same, but yeah, it's just different with him singing it. So yeah,
Agreed.
And Richard, yes, you should. It's good. It's not great, but it's good. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, back to me. So I'm not going in chronological order, but I am for this one. And I'll show this because a few people, namely Richard, have said, I've never seen that before. So I don't know that it ever was even ever released in the States. So we'll show this. This is Bryan Adams' self-titled debut from, man, I can't read that, early 80s something, probably 81, 82. I don't know.
Okay.
His self-titled debut is a little, I mean, there are shades of what he would become and a lot of what he was previously. Like, it's a lot of sort of, there's a kind of a, I mean, he doesn't look glam. This is what he looks like. Jeans and a t-shirt, which is kind of still how he dresses today. But it's kind of glammy pop with a little bit of that Bryan Adams rasp that we would get to know. So is it a good record? Not especially. Is it a bad record? No. It's a record from 1981, and that's exactly what it sounds like. So if you're a Bryan Adams fan and you've never seen this before, these are a dime a dozen in Canada. You see these in every flea market you go to. But Richard said in the States he didn't even know it existed. So that's why I'm showing it. There was 2 hits on here in Canada, and I don't know which came first, but Remember and Hiding from Love, if I remember correctly, I was only 3 years old, so Joe can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those were the 2 that got a little bit of radio play back in the day.
Yeah, and the only one that I really remember more is Hiding from Love, and it's almost power poppy a little bit, right? I mean, you talked about that, so it's got that. You can hear a little bit of the more guitar that's going to come down the line, but
yes,
yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think any of so Brian's worked with the same. I want to say the same band. It's not. He's had 2 drummers over the years, a few different bass players, but it's the same collective of musicians. None of those people are on this record. So this is before Mickey Curry, before Pat Stewart, before Keith Scott, before any of those people made any influence. It's really just Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a decent album. It's actually the one that I go to and listen to because it's not the one that's been overplayed to death for me. So yeah, it's not reckless, but
no.
But I enjoy it. It's decent.
I do too.
Yeah.
I listen to it probably more than most of them, surprisingly, because to me it's just kind of this weird, odd little timepiece.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, for sure.
So
now, would you say that it's more or less known than that second album he did?
Oh, way
the
less.
Second one I actually don't have.
You're talking about You Want It, You Got It.
Yes.
It's the second album. And I wasn't sure. So I asked Richard. He goes, oh, yeah, I've seen that here in the States. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So I talked about his influences, Elvis and a few others that were there. Now, of course, if you know Bryan Adams, you will know that his best bud, at least for a long time, is Jim Vallance. Until they had their falling out, and then the 2000s they kind of got back together for a little bit there. But Jim Vallance, briefly, for a very brief period of time, does anybody know what band he used to be in? That he's at the very beginning of this band. I don't even know if he was actually on any of their albums. Well, at the very beginning, under a pseudonym, which I can't remember, Jim Vallance actually was in the band Prism.
No, really?
In Canada at the very beginning. I don't even know if he was on an album, but he went by a pseudonym. Really? Jim Vallance. And so obviously with that in mind, Bryan Adams' first, well, not his first band, but his first major band, you've already talked about, is Sweeney Todd, and I think this is the one with Roxy Roller on it. So he's not really on this one. But really at the end of the day, as soon as Bryan Adams was in Sweeney Todd, and then he kind of became his, he did his solo thing, that's kind of what caught the eye of Jim Vallance in becoming like a co-writer, and they worked together for a long time. I think the last album they did together was that Into the Fire one before there was a big falling out, I think.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah. And then then they kind of went their separate ways for a while. But I mean, Jim Vallance, and we'll probably talk about him a little bit more. I didn't know he was in Prism. And we're talking like the very, very beginning of Prism. Like he was maybe.
According to this, he was the original drummer and he played under the pseudonym of Rodney Higgs.
Yeah.
I learned something. He wrote.
And so after he left the band, he kind of did his own thing, and he noticed Bryan Adams towards the end of the 70s under Sweeney Todd.
He wrote one of Prism's biggest hits, Spaceship Superstar. I didn't know that. Okay, look at that. Despite best efforts, I learned something. Damn it. Rick corrected me on my dates. Thank you, sir. The self-titled I showed is from 1980. You Want It, You Got It is from 81. Thank you. All right. Joe.
All right. So in a former life, well, not that former. Anyway, when I used to be full-time at work doing on AV audio video things, I used to be out on job sites quite a bit. And every time Bryan Adams would come on, I would start complaining out loud. And one of the guys I worked with was a big fan, actually. And so him and this plumber that was also working, the plumber comes up to him and goes, "Man, that guy's sure bitching about Bryan Adams a lot. He's a Canadian legend. Why is he bitching about him so much?" And Cody goes, "I don't know. He just bitches about him all the time." So I do. He is a legend. He is a Canadian legend for sure. He is an icon of Canada, although he doesn't live in Canada anymore. Not that is necessarily the only stipulation of being a true Canadian, because there's lots of good Canadians that don't live in Canada anymore. But okay, with that said, let's move on. We'll go with which one should I go with? We'll just go in order here. So up next, there's a couple of songs on this album that, again, Brian and Jim wrote a lot of stuff for other artists together. Brian wrote with some of the artists as well. But there's a couple on here, including The Edge of a Dream, which is a song by Joe Cocker. And Joe Cocker was did a lot of cover songs. I don't know how many originals Joe Cocker did, although as I was pulling this one out, I realized I had 5 or 6 or 7 Joe Cocker albums. So there's got to be some originals, but he's just more well known for, A Little Help from My Friends and that. But he's on here, which is the theme song from this movie, Teacher, Teacher. But then as well, 38 Special, the song Teacher, Teacher, also written by Bryan Adams. So, he's on here a couple of times. I think that's the only 2 times. Adams Valence and Adams Valence. I think that was the only 2. So it was the start of, I don't know if that was the first soundtrack he was on, but another part of my dislike, because it got overplayed, was that Everything I Do for You on the Robin Hood soundtrack. Oh my God. Like, if that wasn't on at least twice an hour when it was popular, the station lost its license from the CRTC. No, I'm sorry. You have to play that song at least twice an hour.
Hate that song. Hate it.
Great song. But anyway, so a couple songs on there written by Bryan Adams and Jim Valence as well. Teacher, Teacher, and When the Night, not When the Night Comes. That's coming up. That's another one. But Edge of a Dream. Sorry, that's the one off there. This is a good soundtrack too.
My research for this, it's absolutely incredible how many songs the 2 of them either co-wrote or wrote individually for other musicians. The list is insane.
That's what mine's going to be. Other than one, there's one where he sings backup on something, but he probably had some credits as well somewhere. So
I know who that is.
Maybe. I was surprised. You know what? I didn't know it until I was looking today.
It's not. I mean, there's certain one I'm waiting for Daryl to show that Brian sings background.
I don't. Yeah, it's not. It's not that one. So no, it's not that one. So yeah.
All right.
And again, I didn't know till today, and I got home late because I wasn't supposed to work, and I was working. So I was waiting to put stuff together till today. So it was something that I learned as I cheated a little bit and Googled some stuff. So. Hello, Scott.
Scott, yes, we are talking Bryan Adams tonight, but also all things connected to Bryan Adams because it's Joe's favorite artist. So, Rick is saying Brian does Teacher, Teacher on the deluxe version of Reckless. Yes, he does. He also does it. He did an album called Bryan Adams Classics where he sort of did the Taylor thing where he re-recorded so that he could own the masters, and he did Teacher, Teacher on that. It's on the digital version. It's not on the vinyl version because they had to cut it for space requirements. God, I know way too much about this friggin' guy.
You do, actually.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Maybe I have a problem. Everything I Do got gypped out of a Juno because a cast of composers. Yes, it was a Juno. There's a whole CanCon thing. I'm going to talk about it when I do Daryl's Juno video, so I won't preempt myself. Record On says if someone wants it, I have a 45 of that Everything I Do song. You should use it as a frisbee.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's the only thing it's good for. So,
yeah,
and this coming as a fan. So,
yeah,
okay. I'm going to show this one. I don't want to show this one, but I'm going to show it in the spirit of our episode. I think this is, it is what it is. I've shown this before. All right, so we're talking about how Brian has done things with other people and things for other people. I mean, this is the epitome of doing things with other people. This is the Northern Lights, Tears Are Not Enough. For our American friends, you remember We Are the World, which was for famine relief in Africa. This was the Canadian answer. And this was a song written by none other than Bryan Adams, Jim Vallens, and produced by David Foster for the same Hunger for Africa. And this was recorded in 1985. And this is a who's who of Canadian music in 1985. So you have, and I'm not going to name them all, but you've got Tom Cocker and Bruce Cockburn, Burton Cummings, Corey Hart, Ronnie Hawkins, Geddy Lee, Gordon Lightfoot, Murray McLaughlin, Richard Manuel, Neil Young, Ian Thomas, and on and on and on and on and on. So if you were played on the radio in 1985 and you were Canadian, you're probably in this photograph. So is it any good? It's the same kind of deal as We Are the World. So I only have it because Brian wrote it and he's on it. And there's a whole bunch of connections to that. So
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Tim is saying Bruce Cockburn told me that record is a piece of shit. I would be inclined to agree. So, okay. Daryl.
Right. So I'm briefly going to touch base on this. This is going to be, I'm going to show 3 here because they kind of go together. So we talked about Sweeney Todd, and then you talked about his disco single, which is not good.
No.
And then he releases his first album, which I also have, and I'm assuming Joe's got this one too. I think you said you've got this one too. So we've all got it. So, you know, like you said, it's a dime a dozen here in Canada, but hard to find, I guess, probably down south. This album basically got him on the map to where he started touring with all kinds of different bands. But before I go that way, that album there was managed by Bruce. What's his name? Bruce Allen, I think it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Who also managed tons of other Canadian bands, including Loverboy. So this is a great album. It's got This Could Be the Night on it, loving every minute of it. It's a really great album. And so Bryan Adams ended up, I don't know if he ever toured with Loverboy specifically. He probably was on some tours involving
probably an opener.
But as an opening band, within the first 3 years, he was then touring with some of the biggest American bands, including this band, Foreigner. And I didn't bring it out, but he was also opening at other concerts for bands like Journey. So he got his start in the music industry, at least as a solo artist, with this. And even though it wasn't the biggest album, his second one was a little bigger, exposure to bands like Loverboy then got him on the docket to being an opener for bands like The Kinks, Foreigner, Journey, and the rest is history at that point. I mean, he becomes a big, huge arena rock star at that point. And then I'm sure that the coming 2 albums that we'll talk about will explain how that works, because one album called Reckless, we'll get to that eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. He opened for Loverboy in '82. Yeah, I thought I had read that.
I saw Loverboy open for Prism, and it was kind of tail end of Prism's reign, because they were big, and I really liked them. And Loverboy just kicked their ass. This Mike Reno at the time had tons of energy, and Paul Dean was really, really good. So, yeah, there was a lot of great Canadian tours back in the day of all of these artists that we talk about in combinations and just time frames, right? So, because Prism and Trooper had been around for forever, bands like Bryan Adams and Loverboy and all of that started to open for them and do that. Then they surpassed them a little bit and took us more into the 80s. So, yeah, it was awesome. It was really good. So,
Okay. Joe.
I'm up. All right. Let's see. I had something. Did you say, Rob, you want it? You got it?
Yes, I have it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
I'm not going to show it, but I have it sitting here just if the need should arise.
If the need should arise, exactly. Maybe Daryl said you don't have it, correct?
No, I don't have it.
Right.
But maybe before I start my next one, you can just show it, hold it up,
Okay.
and then I'll segue into the next one.
Perfect. It's just right down here. That's why I pulled it out. So
I guess I should say, if you want it, I got it.
yeah, there you go. Exactly. Kelly Gruber approves. Okay, up next, let's go with, you know what? While we're talking about them, let's just go. Well, we talked about both of them. Let's go to these guys. So let's go to Loverboy. So from this album, there is a song called Jump, and Bryan Adams, Jim Vallance wrote Jump. But yeah, that's the one they're credited on. I think that when these guys of that nature that write so much stuff get involved, there's probably hands on some other songs as well. It's just whether they get credit or not, I guess. You would think if they're part of it that the bands would be giving them credit. But yeah, so it helps as well. So the engineer on this one, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a guy named Bob Rock, but he did the engineering on this one.
A little bit.
And then, it's at Little Mountain Studios in Vancouver, which is where Metallica did, and like all of that stuff. That's where Bob Rock and Bruce Fairbairn was big with a lot of these guys too. He was more the Prism side of the world. But yeah, so the song is called Jump from the second album. Yeah, this was second album, right? Yeah, I think so. But yeah, Paul Dean, Matt Furnett. Matt Furnett used to be in Streetheart. There's all these Canadian bands that had their combinations, but Matt Furnett is a fantastic drummer. I think still playing with Loverboy. I think him and Spider are both still playing. But yeah, Mike Reno, Paul Dean. Paul Dean was in. He was in a couple of bands before that. It'll come to me anyway. The song Jump on this album, not Jump like Van Halen, but Jump of Loverboy fame, written by Adams, and I'm sure that Jim was probably in there with them too. So
Tim's saying he just got that record signed. Apparently those red pants are in the retro exhibit at one of the museums in Ottawa.
Yeah, and there's a whole story behind the photo shoot that I can't remember for sure, or I'd try and tell it, but it was supposed to be somebody's kid, I think. Then they backed out, and it ended up being somebody else's kid that just happened to be around for the photo shoot. I'm sure if you look it up, if you give a rat's ass, no pun intended, you can find it out. So
there you go. Okay. I'm not going chronological anymore. I got the sort of foundationary records out of the way. I'm just going to show some stuff. I'm going to show the Bryan Adams record that probably just about no one has seen on vinyl because there are so very, very few of them out there. 18 Till I Die. Absolutely love this record. One of my favorites. I remember, the single off of here, I think the first one was The Only Thing That Looks Good on Me Is You. And I remember when that hit Much Music and Bryan Adams was trying to be, fashiony with his fucking leather pants and stupid shirts and greaseball hair and trying to look fashionable. And I remember I thought to myself, where the hell's Bryan Adams been? Because this was 1996. And the album prior to this was Waking Up the Neighbors, which was like 91. Like it had been a number of years. I was kind of like, I didn't know this guy was still making music. It turned out it was actually a really good record. I love it. Only Thing That's Good on Me Is You. I love the song I Want to Be Your Underwear. That's fun. Black Pearl's a good song. Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman? That was a huge hit. I hate that just like I hate... Have you ever really, 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 really... Yeah, he's got... Here's the thing. I like Bryan Adams, but I can't stand the sappy shit. My God, no. But yeah, A Night to Remember, 18 Till I Die, the title track. A very good record, one of my favorites. I was so lucky to pick this up probably in about 2004 or 5 maybe. I have never, ever seen another copy on vinyl. And when they go on eBay, they are stupidly expensive. There's only one Bryan Adams record I don't have that's rarer than this one, but this is a tough one to find. So there you go. 18 Till I Die.
It's a good album, and I agree with you that Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman it's probably more annoying than any other sappy song he's ever done.
Wasn't it another movie set? Wasn't it like from a movie thing, just like the other stupid sappy one was?
It might have been
Yeah, I
soundtrack,
forget
yeah.
the name of it.
He has a lot of soundtrack songs. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it was in the. Oh, what was it called? Yeah, I'd know it. Guy's got a mask on and stuff like that. I forget the name of that movie now.
Me too.
But yeah, no, it's a terrible song. I don't know. I guess people were looking for sappy stuff. The radios back then.
Yeah.
Because that would never fly today. Nobody would listen to that.
Here's the interesting thing about Brian. So he has his rock records, which he's known for, being an arena rocker in the 80s and 90s, and writing stuff for other people and doing a lot of soundtrack work. And a lot of the soundtrack work are those sappy ballads, the Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves shit. And there's a lot of soundtrack stuff he did. So, yeah.
I forget the name of that soundtrack.
I can't remember either.
It's making me
Someone
mad
here
again.
will figure it out for us.
Yeah.
Record Hound makes a good point. Well, not a good point, but it's a good point. Sorry, don't need to jump in, Daryl. I just wanted to get to it quick. But so, yeah, there is a really good series out there, and I don't know the channel, but they've got like Tom Cochran. They've got the guys from the Northern Pikes. They take their big song, they play it, and they talk a little bit more about it. So I assume it's the same series that comes from. So seek it out on the old YouTube. I'm not sure if anybody here is familiar with YouTube or not, but it's a channel on the World Wide Web where you can watch stuff.
But don't do it now. Do it once we're finished.
No, yeah, later in
Right.
an hour and 4 minutes ish. Yeah,
Exactly. All right.
All right. So I don't have the second album, which is fine.
wait, I got it.
Rob
Wait.
does. Rob.
Oh, there you go.
You want it, you got
I
it.
don't know. He didn't have any top 40 hits, I don't think, off that one either, eh? Not in the
Well,
US.
I think, not in the U.S., but I think "Lonely Nights" was a hit, and I think "Fits You Good." I think had it.
Yeah, Fits You Good for
Oh,
sure.
maybe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones, though.
Yeah,
Is
so
50
that album there kind of segues into this next one, which really is probably his first commercially successful album, which is the Cuts Like a Knife album, which has all kinds of hits on it. Produced by Bob Clearmountain. Didn't know that. But this one has all the big hits. It's got, well, not all the big hits, but the first ones that he did this time, Straight from the Heart, Cuts Like a Knife, I'm Ready, which I'll take it or leave it. And The Best Was Yet to Come I think it's a pretty good closer for a bit of a sappy one. But the reason that I brought this one into it as part of the history is now that he's big artists start kind of doing covers of his songs. And so Bonnie Tyler is involved with Straight from the Heart. I've actually never heard her version of it. So let me know in the comments if her version of Straight from the Heart is a good version. But that's probably one of his most commercially successful ones off of this album is Straight from the Heart and Cuts Like a Knife. So now you're at a point in your career, historically, I guess, where all the big artists know who you are. You're touring with them. Now you're touring on your own doing arena rock. And now Bonnie Tyler, who had one of the biggest hits from, well, I think it was a couple years previous to that, is now covering your music. So I don't know. I don't know what screams you've gone big more than big artists covering your music within a year of it coming out. So I figured I'd show some Bonnie Tyler. There's the connection.
There you go. Rick figured it out. That song we love was from the Don Juan DeMarco soundtrack. That's
Yeah.
right. Thank you. Tim, who's met everybody, says Brian told him that Cuts Like a Knife is one of his favorite albums. Great album. I like it.
Yeah, but one of the stupidest videos out there in the world, though, right? That's the one in the pool, isn't it? Like, what is the point? Isn't that the one where she's on the diving board? I think that's that one, and they're just playing by the pool, and anyway. if we ever do an episode of stupid videos, I'm bringing that one up. So
There you go.
yeah,
Bonnie Tyler has a nice raspy voice for Brian's song, so
it's
background thinks it's pretty good.
I like Bonnie.
Okay, Joe. Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go with yeah, because again we talked about them a lot. So let's just go with a little bit of Prism. And there is a song on this one. Which one is the song that they wrote on here? I've got notes, not only because I'm old and forgetful, but because I had a stressful day. Don't Let Them Know, which was actually a pretty big hit for Prism, kind of, near the end of their bigger hits. I don't even know if Ron's on this album. I think this is already Al Harlow singing on this album for Prism. Their lead singer had died in a bike accident, not a motorcycle, but a pedal bike accident. And then the song Stay is also on here. And I don't have it, and maybe you guys will get to it. There's a song that he wrote about a Playboy Playmate. Do you guys know that one? Are you familiar with? Do you have that? But I believe Adams wrote Cover Girl, or part of Cover Girl, which was about Shannon Tweed and how they were all buddies, and and then the idiot killed her and things like that. So I'm not 100% positive. I'll look it up, but I didn't have it. It's only on, I think it's only on their 60 Minutes, the best of, where they started doing compilations of on CD over 60 minutes. Remember those? I think that's where Cover Girl is on. And it might also be on just the brown version of Prism's greatest hits. But yeah, so a couple of songs are actually just one song on here. Don't Let Them Know and Stay. Don't Let Them Know was a bit of a hit, but again, Tayback already gone from Prism at this point, but still decent, still good. Not Prism's biggest album by any means, but I enjoy it. And they're still out there. They're still playing, which is kind of nice. I'm going to slide this back in because it's time to talk about, because I'd like to protect this one, because this one I don't see very often. So I like to protect this album by putting it in a nice outer sleeve that I got from vinylstoragesolutions.ca. You can go to the link that the QR code will take you to. And not only will you go right to their website so you can order yourself some outer sleeves and some inner sleeves or any kind of things you need off of there. They have other things, but you get great shipping. Plus, if you use the promo code Northern10, you get 10% off of your inner sleeves, your outer sleeves, all the things that they sell on vinylstoragesolutions.ca. And shipping, I think, is pretty cheap right now, too. So you get a promo code Northern10 that you use. You get 10% off. Shipping's cheap. Plus, it is really good stuff as well. So I'm going to put my Prism album back inside my vinylstoragesolutions.ca outer sleeve.
Thank you for that, Joe.
You're welcome.
Am I caught up on comments? Let's see here. For those outside of Canada, Capitol had a series of compilation CDs called Over 60 Minutes with. Yeah, I've got Over 60 Minutes with Tom Cochrane and Red Rider. Great. They were great comp CDs for sure.
They were great. Yeah, they were very good compilations for sure. Yeah.
Cover Girl is about Dorothy Stratton. She was from Vancouver. There you go. They should really be a sponsor. Yeah, I agree. They should be a sponsor.
They should be. Yeah.
I don't know that I'm raking in the viewers necessary to elicit a sponsorship. I'm thankful for the promo that they give me because I make enough tiny commissions that I haven't paid for record sleeves in quite some time. So, and I thank you everyone for using the code when you do.
And just to clarify, yes, Bryan Adams did write Cover Girl. So co-wrote it with Lindsay Mitchell, which was the guitar player from Prism.
In all honesty, when you said Cover Girl, I honestly thought you were talking about that New Kids on the Block song. I don't know why.
No,
because I know maybe what it is. I know Rob loves New Kids so much.
What the fuck are you talking about?
That there was just like an airwave flowing there, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they had a song called Cover Girl. I could name one New Kids song, and that's it.
Just for those that don't know the Prism song, it is very 80s, late 70s, early 80s Canadian keyboard guitar rock, but it's a very good song. And yeah, they were all friends with Dorothy, and that's a whole other story. But
okay, I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to show. What am I going to show? I'm going to show. Ooh, you want a live album or a compilation?
I would like a live album, please.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, this fits in well then, since I just showed 18 Till I Die. This is Bryan Adams, Wembley Live, 1996. This is a gatefold. Hold on. Please hold.
Please hold.
There he is there. What's he's playing? No, he's playing an electric guitar. Sometimes he was playing bass back in the day. Sometimes he loves. But there's him at Wembley, rocking out with a Stratocaster. There he is with his trendy leather pants on the front there, which is kind of a spin-off from 18 Till I Die. And this is a 1, 2, 3 LP set, and it covers all of the hits. Recorded live at Wembley Stadium, 27th of July, 1996. Of course, it has Joe's favorite Summer of 69 on here. Yeah. The only place you'll find some live 18 Till I Die stuff. So it's actually a pretty good live record.
I think an hour and 6 minutes in, that might be the first time we actually said Summer of 69, though. Like, we've alluded to it, right? But is that the first time we've actually said it?
I think it might be.
Maybe twice, but still.
Maybe, yeah.
Do you remember months ago, I showed, when we were doing a live stream, I showed every version of Summer of 69 that he's released, and he's released it like 22 times.
Yeah.
And it's not always the same. There are live ones. There's a bunch. So anyway, Summer of 69. So yeah, I mean, you could find this around. It's he has 3 live records. I think this is the best one. There's Live, 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 which was the first live record he put out. I think that was on the Reckless tour. I think it was only pressed on vinyl in Brazil. I don't have it. It's expensive. But this one is pretty mass produced. Came out on vinyl in 2016. So it's been around for a decade, but good live record. And it's 3 LP. So there you go.
Yeah.
So. All right. Daryl.
I'd love to see him live. Then again, I'd love to see any band live these days.
Yeah.
I've seen him
speaking of stuff. No, I know that we're not into rap music, but there is a local artist up where I live. He's been out of town for a while, but he's coming up north because his family's all here. He's an indigenous rapper that goes by the name of Shabastic. He's going to be performing for the high school kids and the elementary school kids. He sings about indigenous stuff. Shabastic, if you want to check that out.
Well, there you go. You have to check it out, right? Worth a shot? Sure.
All right, so we are moving into 1985, which is Bryan Adams, arguably his biggest album of all time, which is the Reckless one. And we are now going to allude to Summer of 69 just because everybody knows that. We know that Jim Vallance spoiled the party for everybody by straight up telling everybody what that song is all about. It's not about the summer vacation.
It's not.
And it's not about 1969.
But there is a track that is also on here. So this is where he gets into his sappy soundtrack stuff. Movie songs that were put on movies. So we got One Night Love Affair, which I don't think was on any soundtrack. That was a single here in Canada, big hit. Heaven, Somebody, Run to You, Summer of 69. Those are all big tracks. The one that I'm alluding to is the song Heaven, which I've just got to look it up here again, was on the soundtrack for a 1985 movie called A Night in Heaven. And on that soundtrack, I don't know, I think Richard is still here, and I think Richard likes these guys. There was also another song called Obsession by the band Animotion. Their version actually is a cover. It's not on the soundtrack, but my connection is that Bryan Adams released a track for a 1984 soundtrack, A Night in Heaven, and the other big song that was on it was Obsession, not by Animotion, but the original version of it. So yeah, it's kind of a weird connection, but if we want to talk once again, I mean, he's going big. He's got soundtrack stuff now. I forget what this like Heaven Alone was certified gold in Canada, and Reckless itself was I do not know what it was certified, but I'll check it out and see if I can find it here. Oh, hold on. It was certified diamond in Canada and 5 times platinum in the United States. Worldwide, he's got 12 million certified units on Reckless. That is crazy.
There's been a few. Yeah,
absolutely
that
crazy.
is for certain. I think, the soundtrack stuff certainly helped him become more of a worldwide name, right? Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of bands with a lot of big hits that come from Canada that nobody except us in Canada know about. But the soundtrack certainly helped, because not only did they play the shit out of that song from the movie, it was a fairly popular movie. It was Kevin Costner. It was all the things. So it's not like it was some low budget thing. Hey, you want a song?
Yeah.
It was in a big budget movie. The movie did well. The song did well. And then things kind of snowballed after that. So.
For sure.
Okay. Joe.
I forgot to show this earlier. So look, proof that I have actually been, well, it's upside down, that I have actually been to a Bryan Adams show. And I've probably seen him a couple of times. I can't remember if I saw him back in the heyday or not, but it was the first ever show at our Mosaic Stadium, which is our big new football stadium that they built 10 years ago now, something like that. So it was him and Johnny Reed and Our Lady Peace, which was a bit of a weird combination, but that's what it was. But they were trying to draw a little bit. It was the first one, so they kind of tried to get a little bit of something for everyone. But he was very good. He put on a great show. He played all the songs you wanted to hear. I had no complaints walking away from it. I probably even enjoyed Summer of '69 begrudgingly, sitting there going, fuck, I hate this song, but damn it, it sounds good. So I think is what it came down to. And what's kind of cool is, I don't know if you guys are Foo Fighters fans or not. Maybe a little, not at all. Daryl, a little.
I got a greatest hits of them.
They're
Actually,
doing
it's funny you mentioned them. It's actually so funny you mentioned them. I have them right here on the Essential one. So yeah, no, they're not bad. I don't listen to them all the time, but they're good.
They're doing a new tour in 2026, a world tour, and I think it's going to be a stadium show, because our Mosaic Stadium has had the Foo Fighters logo up on the Jumbotron for the last couple of days, and there's a big announcement tomorrow. So looking forward to that. I like them. So hopefully it'll be interesting to see who's with them as well. So there's that. Let's go. So there is a Motley Crue album that I don't have because it sucks, called Generation Swine. And Bryan Adams wrote a song on there called Glitter. I don't have that, but as I was reading through, when I Googled a little bit of stuff earlier, I had come to the realization only today, I was today days old, to realize that on what songs, Sticky Sweet, the song Sticky Sweet on this album, which I showed last week, I think, Bryan Adams sings backup. So they had a little bit of a combination, because this would have came first before Generation Swine. So I think they were recording. Bob Rock did this one as well. I think this was also in Vancouver. So Bryan Adams was around, Motley Crue was around, and it was like, hey, Bryan, you want to sing backup on a song? Sure. And it just happened to be Sticky Sweet. So he has he has no writing credits on here, because I don't think that came about. But he did have a song on Generation Swine, which came later from Motley Crue. But he did sing backup on the song Sticky Sweet on this classic. And yeah, I did show it because it was hair metal, sleaze rock last week, right? That I were my categories. And they fit into both of them. They also fit into the asshole category now. So, because I don't think we did Wankers. I might have shown them when we did Wankers. I can't remember. But
I just find it fascinating. Like to know that he came across paths with Motley Crue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like, it just, like, as much as some people may or may not like Bryan Adams, there is no doubt. It's like the Tragically Hip and stuff. There is no doubt that on a worldwide scale, or at least the whole of North America, the influence that they had on other bands, the fact that they came across them is just, it's amazing. Because, you know, I don't sit here listening to Bryan Adams going, hey, he came into contact with Motley Crue. Like,
yeah,
who knew?
He had a song. Yeah, Motley Crue did a song written by Bryan Adams, or Kiss did a song written by Bryan Adams. You don't think of that because it doesn't. Not that it doesn't make sense. That's not the right way of putting it. They just don't. They don't seem to live in the same world. But yet, songwriters, anybody can sing their song, and they'll take the money, right? So.
Well, I look at Bryan Adams. He's like, he's a full-on vegan, I think, right?
He's a vegetarian.
He's a vegetarian. He doesn't do the drinking and the partying thing too often, and then he's writing songs for Motley Crue, right? The totally opposite lifestyles.
Okay, I'll get to this comment, but I have to shit talk here for a second. Since Rich mentioned Dodger Stadium, I'd like to acknowledge the Jays and the Dodgers start on Friday.
Well, he said, 3 weeks ago, Dodgers Jays in the World Series?
And I said the same thing. I said that would be an entertaining series, and I still maintain that it is. Looking forward to it, Rich. It's going to be fun. I don't think you guys are going to steamroll us, but I do think you have a slight advantage, but that doesn't mean shit. I have faith in my team.
There you go.
Rick saying he saw Brian rehearsing this, or he heard him rehearsing the single Diana in Expo 86. He didn't do it at the show. Diana and Charles were there. It was released as a maxi single in 85. There you go. Diana, along with Summer of 69, which is Joe's favorite song, and the Bryan Adams mix.
The Bryan Adams mix, yep.
Allegedly, Brian had an affair with Princess Di, but he doesn't speak about her for various reasons. So, there you go. We get back to Rich's comment. When I saw Genesis at Dodger Stadium, Brian opened. His set was sabotaged with this terrible sound system. Everything was perfect when Genesis played. Brian, I'm glad you're watching us from Tokyo, but if you're going to say stupid shit like that, I'm not going to put your comments on the screen. What you're supposed to say is go Jays. Right. Yeah. And yes, it should be a good series. As I said off the top, Rich, before you tuned in, I'm excited about it, not only because my team's in the World Series for the first time in 32 years, but the Dodgers and the Jays play two very different styles of baseball. So it should be fun. Okay, my turn. We have talked a lot about Jim Valance, and I'm going to sneeze. And now that I've set up my sneeze button.
Nope, now you're not. Nope.
That always happens. We would be remiss if we don't talk about the other great collaborator that Bryan Adams had, and that's Mutt Lange. 1991's Waking Up the Neighbors, my second favorite Bryan Adams album. I love this record. It is a great, the early 90s, right? You know, we didn't have grunge yet, but 90s music was starting to go away from that 80s rock sound, but this is still a solid record. And one of the reasons that my first guitar was a Fender Stratocaster, because not that he can play worth a shit, neither can I, but it looks bloody cool. And so my first Stratocaster that I bought in 1999 is still hanging over on my wall. Anyway, great record. I can't stop this thing we started was the big hit off of here. Solid record, top to bottom. Definitely hear Mutt Lange's influence. And this was an album that started kind of a feud between Brian and Def Leppard, because at the same time, Mutt was working with Def Leppard on Hysteria and Pyromania, I believe. I think he worked on both of those. And when Joe Elliott and the guys heard this record, they were pissed off because they said Mutt stole our sound and gave it to Brian. They've since patched it up and it's all good. But at the time, Def Leppard was furious because there are a lot of songs on here that sound like Def Leppard. And there are some Def Leppard songs that sound a lot like this period Bryan Adams. So I love this record. But yeah, it started a feud. So Richard's saying that's a hard one to find. Yeah, so the one I've got there is an OG from '91. It was repressed by Music on Vinyl 15 years ago. Those are still out there, but you're right, you don't see it that often. I've seen it a few times. It's not terribly expensive, but you just don't see it that often. But they're around. Okay, Daryl.
All right. Well, I will definitely be talking about that album in a bit.
Okay.
Speaking of albums that we've already talked about, or you already talked about, use this into my. I'm gonna give a Glass Tiger alert. Glass Tiger alert coming up.
Beep, 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 beep.
So you talked about Tears Are Not Enough, Northern Lights, Jim Vallance, Bryan Adams, and a whole slew of other good named fellows that are on here. But the big name that is not on here is Alan Frew of Glass Tiger. However, this album right here, which is I think it's probably my second favorite Glass Tiger album, The Thin Red Line, although it's absolutely fantastic. For two reasons. The connector is that Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance, they did the writing and all that kind of stuff on here. Well, Jim Vallance is also a big name on this one here, The Thin Red Line, which has the song Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone on it, in which Bryan Adams is the backing vocals on. So, I mean, my favorite band, got to include a little Bryan Adams on this one. I couldn't not talk about Glass Tiger. And like I said, I mean, this one here is Glass Tiger's big claim to fame, Thin Red Line. Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone. Of course, you can't go wrong having Bryan Adams as an attributing factor to this. Vanishing Tribe is a great song. Someday is a great song. I Will Be There and You're What I Look For. They were all singles in Canada. So Glass Tiger's first album, my second favorite one. Bryan Adams is on there, and Jim Vallance is, I believe, I can't remember. I think he's the producer of this album. So there we go.
This is my only Glass Tiger, Daryl. This is the 45 for Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone. And the only reason I have it is because Bryan is clearly audible in the
he definitely is clearly audible.
Yep. It's not like he's blending in and harmonizing. You're like, holy shit, there's Bryan Adams. So
Is that the clear vinyl version of that one?
this no.
No?
This is an old OG that I bought for 50 cents back in like 25 years ago.
Daryl's got the clear version 45.
I'm sure.
I believe I do. I should go look for it.
I'm pretty sure you do because I think I sent it to you. So
I believe so. I'm gonna
if I
go.
remember
I'll go
correctly.
get it. You guys do what you got to do. I'm gonna grab it.
talk amongst yourself. I like Richards.
Richard's saying that's his favorite Glass Tiger song, and he's keeping track of the score tonight. Bryan Adams has said 1.2 billion mentions, and Glass Tigers had one. So that's
That
fair.
one. Yeah, that's right. So
And there it is.
There you go.
The clear one. So that was sent to me as VCLT. I do remember that. I just forgot that I had the clear one.
yep.
There you go.
I do have a few other 45s like Glass Tiger.
Okay, Joe.
I'm up. Okay. I talked about these guys a little bit already. I'm not sure if you guys know or not, but the lead singer from this band is actually Ronnie Van Zant's brother, good Christ, Leonard Skinner fame. And unfortunately, it's kind of the anniversary of the plane crash. I think it was last week that the plane crash that the lives of a bunch of members of 38 Special, of Leonard Skinner. I'm tired today. Anyway, 38 Special, we talked about it earlier. Teacher, Teacher. This is Flashback. This is kind of their greatest hits. But Bryan also wrote one on here. Where is it? Back to Paradise. I kind of remember that song. I don't know if it was a big hit, but it was kind of a hit. So I like 38 Special. They were kind of that Southern rock, obviously, because they had a little bit of an influence being a Van Zant in the band. But good stuff. And again, just another song that Bryan Adams wrote. that you wouldn't necessarily think that they're in the same world, because they're not really. I mean, 38 Special is not as far off as Motley Crue and Bryan Adams, but still they're in a couple of different time zones anyway. But yeah, 38 Special, Flashback, the song, a couple of them, Teacher, and and Back to Paradise on this one that Brian wrote, and I think only Brian. Well, Brian and maybe 38 Special. I'll look. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
The thing about what you were saying about 38 Special, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a step back from Motley Crue, but it's kind of like Bryan Adams is touring with Foreigner, right? You're not expecting him to be like Loverboy makes sense as a Canadian band, but him touring with the Kinks and Foreigner, it would be like him touring with 38 Special, which I don't think he toured with 38 Special, but kind of that. It's just how many different ways can Bryan Adams go, right?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. He's had a lot of influence on a lot of different places, written a lot of songs for a lot of people, and then probably influenced beyond that as well. So I'm just trying to find.
I don't know if Rob is going to be showing it, but I mean, just the fact that he even worked with the Spice Girls is. Don't know if you're going there, but
spice up your life.
The odds are high, Daryl.
Spice up your life. Yes, Jim Vallance was also a writer on that song. So they were a songwriting team. They did so much stuff together. So,
okay, I've got one to show here that maybe not a lot of people know of, and it's probably good that you don't know about this. So Brian has done, as I mentioned, a ton of soundtrack work. His movies have appeared in it. His songs have appeared on the soundtrack of tons of movies. But you may not know he wrote an entire soundtrack for a movie. There was a Disney cartoon, a Disney animation movie called Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. It was about these wild horses. I've seen it way too many times when my kid was much younger. And he wrote the score for the movie. Well, no, Hans Zimmer wrote the score, but Brian wrote 16 original songs that don't appear anywhere else. And they're Bryan Adams songs. None of them are rock songs, but they're soundtrack songs. And so I have it. Here I Am. I mean, he put that out as a single. Nothing stands out on this album. It is boring as shit. The only highlight I would say, though, is the song Don't Let Go is Brian with Sarah McLachlan. So that's kind of interesting. But, yeah, I mean, the only place you're going to get it is on CD. And normally it looks like this. I've got the special limited edition one. What makes it limited edition? I haven't the foggiest idea. And you don't normally see it as a Bryan Adams album. You normally just see it as the soundtrack to the movie Spirit. But Brian wrote 16 songs for that movie, and it is boring as hell.
Tell us how you really feel, though.
Well, and while I'm on the subject, I don't actually have a physical copy of it. Speaking of soundtracks, Brian also wrote a musical. You guys know that?
Did not know that. No.
Oh, I did not know that.
I can't make this up. So he goes from doing an animation movie. He wrote the Broadway adaptation of the movie Pretty Woman. So he wrote the Pretty Woman musical, and he wrote an entire soundtrack. Again, all original songs for this musical. And you can get the recording by the original cast, but you can also get the Bryan Adams recording of all those songs. I have it digitally. It also sucks. So there you go. A full animation movie soundtrack and a musical soundtrack. So there you go.
Nice.
Follow that, Daryl.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to follow that, but I can tell you that this is where the fallout begins.
All right.
So we've talked about Jim Vallance, and this will be the final album that Bryan Adams does with Jim Vallance. I don't know if did he do any more after Into the Fire?
They got back together.
It was
later. They have done stuff
later,
together.
like in the 2000s, eh?
Yeah, like 2010s, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So they had a big falling out, and it's believed, I think, that I read that the End of the Fire album, I talked about this a few weeks ago. I found this when I was in North Bay, didn't have it. Rob had talked about it a few weeks ago. So we've kind of done this album, but this, once again, this is the album where, because of Reckless, there was a lot of pressure on him and Jim Vallance to make another great album, and the two of them just weren't getting along to get it done. It has Heat of the Night on it, which is a good song. Into the Fire is a good song. Remembrance Day, I mean, so we've talked about soundtracks and stuff like that, but Brian is also a big advocate for, Canadian veterans and things like that. And that song is featured all the time for Remembrance Day, which is coming up. Hearts on Fire is another one. So this is a really good album. But it's kind of the breaking point with Jim and him. But the big thing is it's believed, at least I read this, it's believed that this album, because it deals with a whole pile of like just social issues, this whole album, which is what they were trying to go for. And my understanding is it is believed that album was heavily influenced by the Conspiracy of Hope tour, which also has Bryan Adams on. Just don't know what song he did on this one. Tonight. Yeah, so it's believed that this particular, it's not a soundtrack, but it's I believe it was another one of those things to fundraise for, kind of like the Northern Lights situation and all that. But yeah, Bryan Adams is featured on this one. Peter Gabriel does Biko, which is his big one, fighting for like the apartheid stuff in Africa. Tears for Fears is on here. Elton John, Howard Jones, Paul McCartney does Pipes of Peace. Good song. Sting is on here. Dire Straits does Brothers in Arms. Cougar Mellencamp, Simple Minds. So this is loaded with big name artists. And like I said, the whole Into the Fire album is believed to have been influenced heavily by Conspiracy of Hope. So that's my connection to Into the Fire, and Balance too much more because they're no longer going to be together for a while. So there we go.
I want to answer Richard's question.
Yeah.
Has Brian won any big ass awards like Junos or anything? He's crazy prolific. Yes. So he has received the Order of Canada, which is our highest civilian honor. He's received the Order of British Columbia, which is funny because he's from Ontario, but he has a studio. The Warehouse Studio is in Vancouver, and he lived there for a while. He has been nominated 56 times for a Juno, and he's won 20 times. The only one that comes close to that, Blue Rodeo. Just saying. And he has had 15 Grammy Award nominations, and he won something. I don't know what he won one Grammy. It doesn't say what it's for. He's won 5 Golden Globe Awards. So he's also won the Governor General's Performing Arts Award in Canada. He has a star on Canada's Walk of Fame. He has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and many others. He's in the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame. He is well decorated. So
a little bit.
All right, Joe.
Speaking of little bit, that's my very, very lame Robert De Niro impression. Your documentary this week, Chris, if you're watching at this point, is the Scorsese one that is out on Apple TV. Speaking of a guy that doesn't necessarily do soundtracks, but is probably the greatest director putting music into a scene in his movies. And that's a big part of, they talk about that quite a bit in the documentary. Just the way that he uses music in his documentaries is fantastic. So that's your documentary. Alan Doyle is coming again, Rob. I talked to you about that, but go see Alan Doyle if he's out there. And the last thing before I get to the next thing is, as I went to look to see if Jim Vallance co-wrote that song with Bryan Adams on this 38 special, there was another name called Geraldo on there. And I thought, well, I wonder if that's Pat Benatar's husband. In fact, it was actually Pat Benatar herself is also a songwriter on that song. So her, Bryan Adams, and Jim Vallance, she had just already taken Neil's name at that point. That's why she wasn't Pat Benatar. That's why it comes up as Geraldo on there. I don't remember her doing a Bryan song. At least if there was, it didn't come up in the list that I was looking at today. But you think that if she's hanging around with them, unless she kind of sent 38 special some of it and they sent some of it, because that happens out there. But you'd think that would have been a grouping that might have got together to put something together. And maybe there is. Like I said, I looked at this list. There was 51 different songs that they wrote for people, and probably 40 of them were popular. There's some stuff that I didn't recognize, and not that means that it wasn't popular. I just didn't recognize it. So, including one Canadian performer with her lovely headband out there, Lisa Del Bello. She's a little old for you guys. She's a little 70s, 80s. Yeah, nothing. No. Canadian performer. There's Lisa on the back. But Bryan wrote a lot of this. I'm not sure if they were together. I don't think they were, but he wrote song 1, 3, and 5, if I remember correctly, according to my notes. 1, 2, and 5. So Never Get to Heaven, You Could Have Been Good for Me, and Princess Telephone. Is that 5? Yeah, Princess Telephone. So those are the songs written by Bryan Adams on this album. Lisa had a couple of songs. She was, I would categorize her as a bit of a disco star back in the day, but Canadian, had some minor hits. But anyway, yeah, Bryan Adams kind of all over this. Wrote some stuff with her. Never Get to Heaven, yeah, and then Princess Telephone, yeah, that one too. So, and then Bryan Adams, She Wants to Know. So lots of Bryan Adams writing on this album. I haven't listened to it, but what's nice about when we do this is they get moved over to the couch over there, and before they get put away, they get listened to. They would have got listened to today, but I wasn't around, so it gives me something to listen to. And I need an inner sleeve for this one. I've just got Lisa in her old crappy paper sleeve. But
all right.
Lisa Del Bello. There you go.
Lisa Del Bello.
Never heard of her.
That's a new one.
Yeah, there's one hit that if I played it, you'd probably know it. I can't even think of what it was. She was like definitely one hit wonder. Late 70s, early 80s, probably got on the radio because it was Canadian content, and or Bryan might have had something to do with it as well. If he wrote half the album, it's like, here, you guys should probably play this. So
okay. I'm gonna do a twofer, I think. Yeah. I'm just gonna mention this. I mentioned it earlier, but I'll show it. Bryan Adams did a Taylor. So he left A&M Records and started his own label a couple years ago called Bad Records, which is B Adams, Bad Records. That's where that comes from. And he owned the publishing rights, but he didn't own the masters. So what he did is he did 2 digital releases, Classics 1 and Classics 2. And he recorded 15 songs, re-recorded them to make them sound as true to the original as he could, just like Taylor did, so that now preferably these would be the versions. Most of them are pretty big hits. Teacher, Teacher, which he did, is not on here, but everything else is. So Summer of 69. This version of Summer 69, the outro is a lot different, and actually it's a better version. Run to You, Having Everything I Do, Can't Stop, This Thing Started, Cuts Like a Knife, Please Forgive, all the big monster hits. So if you ever see Bryan Adams classics, they are re-recordings from 2022 of his biggest hits, so that he could own the masters. Just sort of took a page out of Taylor Swift's book. Interesting trivia. He did one collaboration with Taylor when he was playing in Toronto, and she was playing in Toronto on the it wasn't Eras, it was tour or two before that. He came on stage with her, and the two of them played Joe's favorite song, Summer of 69. And when the tour was over, and when Taylor's tour was over and Keith Scott was busy, Taylor's guitar player, Paul Sidoti, fills in on Bryan Adams' band. So Taylor's guitar player is Bryan's replacement guitar player. I know way too much about this shit. This is the other one I'll show for this turn. This is a compilation called Ultimate that came out in 2017. It's ostensibly it's a greatest hits. But the reason I mention this, it's a gatefold that sucks. Look at that. That's stupid. We don't talk a lot about, he's done a fair amount of actually recorded collaborations with people. There's 3 of them on here. The one everyone knows is back in the Reckless days. He recorded It's Only Love with Tina Turner. Huge hit. Right in the 2000s from the album, this one here, On a Day Like Today. He recorded the song When You're Gone with Mel C from the Spice Girls. Back in the 90s, he did a song called All for Love with Rod Stewart and Sting. Not on here, he did a song with Bonnie Raitt called Rocksteady. There's a couple other collaborations I'm forgetting, but he has done a lot of duets or collaborations with people. So there you go.
Very nice.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the few where I'm going to just show one. So when we think Bryan Adams, at least for me, the last thing I think of is Christmas music, though he's done some. But I think one of the biggest Christmas albums that I can remember that he was featured on, because it has a whole pile of other big name musicians, is the very special Christmas album, in which he does. Why am I running a blank on the name of the song?
Run,
Rudolph, Run.
Run, Rudolph, Run.
Run,
Rudolph, Run. And I mean, it's hard to see because my lighting is atrocious on this, but there it is. There we go. A very special Christmas, but this is the one. I mean, U2, Baby Please Come Home is a fantastic Christmas song. I love that one. Pointer Sisters, Eurythmics, Whitney Houston, Bruce Springsteen, Pretenders, John Cougar Mellencamp's I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, which is hilarious.
Run DMC.
And even Run DMC's Christmas in Hollis is on here.
That's such a good record.
It is.
So it's amazing because like I said, you don't typically see Bryan Adams as a Christmas artist, but he's on here with all kinds of other big names, and you could play this through. Stevie Nicks ends this album, which is amazing. So I mean, I don't know what else to say. I think there was a green one too. There's a red and a green.
There was a gold one as well. They did them for 3 years in a row. But that's the best one by far, hands down.
Yeah. And I mean, this has, like I said, he's featured with every other big artist you possibly can come across. And this is in 1987. So I think my favorite song on this whole thing, though, is Bob Seger's Little Drummer Boy. I love the way that they do the drumming on that. But we're not at Christmas time yet, but I got to show at least one.
Christmas in Hollis.
You say Brian's not a Christmas guy. Well, he's put out a Christmas EP, ladies and gentlemen. In 2019, it has Joe and Mary, Must Be Santa, Christmas Time, Reggae Christmas, which he put out as a single back in the 80s. I've got it on a green 45, and then Merry Christmas. So there is a Bryan Adams Christmas CD, which I'm sure is going to fill that aching hole in everyone's discography.
I just went and bought it right now. I mean, I just went on and got it.
I'm sure you did. One other thing I should mention, thank you, Rick. That's the one. Anne Murray, they did a song called What Would It Take in 1996. Thank you. So, okay, Joe.
All right. Still in the vein of songs written for other bands. Another band that you wouldn't necessarily equate them with, but Canadian though. So I think that falls into it. Is there was Canadian bands went looking for Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance songs that they didn't want to do themselves. And Crocus and Boys Night Out is on here. This has their version of Ballroom Blitz, which was the song off of it. But Crocus, a little heavy metal, Canadian metal. Not a lot of hair. just the right amount of Canadian hair, I think. The appropriate amount of Canadian hair. We didn't have as much hairspray up here because it would freeze and you'd never unthaw. You could never wash your hair. So, but yeah, Valance and Adams on here with Boys Night Out. Crocus, pretty good Canadian rock and roll. I like it. I'm not sure, again, if you guys are all that familiar, but what else is on here? Rock the Nation, that was a bit of a hit, but again, Ballroom Blitz, their version of Ballroom Blitz by Sweet. But yeah, good stuff. I enjoy it. And that is Crocus, and The Blitz is the album, but the song is, what the hell, I should say it, Boys Night Out. Not to be confused with Girls Night Out, which was a Toronto song, along with others. And that has nothing to do with Bryan Adams other than they're Canadian. And I don't think they ever did anything with Toronto. Probably. He might have participated in stuff with Holly Woods from Toronto. She might have been on that album that Do They Know It's Christmas? We Are the World, whatever the hell the Canadian version is called. Northern Lights. Good Christ. Oh man, I need to go to bed. And it's only 7:40. No, it's only 7:45.
We're almost done, Joe. We're almost done.
It's okay, old man. You're almost there. It's okay.
Joe, is it already dark? Is it already dark outside where you are? Because it's getting dark here around 5:45, 6 o'clock now.
Yeah, I have my Halloween lights because I've got the lights on the house that I use all the time. I've got that. My inflatables go up at 6. So yeah, it is.
Okay. We got 15 minutes. Do we want to do 2 more rounds or 1 more round? What do you guys want to do?
I have 2 left, so whatever you guys want to do.
I've only got 2 rounds left that I can do.
All right, so we'll do 2 rounds then. All right, so I might show multiples per round, but so be it.
Exactly.
I forgot a duet on this album here, "Shine a Light" from 2019. He does a duet with Jennifer Lopez called "That's How Strong Our Love Is," and it sucks.
Is Jennifer Lopez in the gatefold?
No, she is not.
Well, then I don't. Well, no, you got to show it.
I got to show it. There you go.
Okay, it's a good gatefold. That's okay.
I don't know that I've ever opened the gatefold. I've just pulled the record out and
Yeah, is that New York? I don't know what building that was. That looked like
no. Yeah, it is because the Empire State Building's there. Let's see if she's on the inner sleeve. No, she's not.
Well, what?
Sorry, Joe. Okay. Okay. I'm going to show one that's very, very rare. If I get it out of the sleeve here, this is a new release of an old concert. So this is on Brian's label. All of Brian's releases on Bad Records come with an Obi strip on them that you can remove. This is Bryan Adams live in Lisbon. Came out as a DVD. This concert was in 2001, something like that. It was on the Room Service tour. Room Service was this album here. Wish it was on vinyl. It's a good record, actually. This was on the Room Service tour. This came out on vinyl earlier this year. It is a gatefold. There's the band there. Was a concert he did, like I said, in Lisbon, Portugal in 2001, 2, something like that. Can't buy this anywhere. You could buy it at the shows in Europe earlier this year. You could buy it from a couple online retailers in Portugal. You could buy it in the UK. Is not available on his web store. You can't get it on Amazon. Very hard to find. So I snagged it off of eBay. Not cheap, more than I would normally pay. But yeah, so is it a good concert? Yeah, it's fine. The Wembley show is better. But I'm kind of a Brian completist. There's only 2 vinyl records by him that I do not own. Live, and On a Day Like Today. They're impossible. But yeah, live in Lisbon, you probably didn't even know it existed. You probably don't care that it existed. So there you go.
No multiples?
Cool to watch a concert in Lisbon, though. I've always wanted to go to Portugal. Maybe one of these days.
Yeah, agreed.
One of these days. All right. For my second last round here, I'm going to show an album that Rob, you've already shown, but that's okay because it's kind of the last album that I own by Bryan Adams is the Waking Up the Neighbors. Now, what's interesting about this album is in Canada we have the whole Canadian content thing, and this album here kind of pissed Bryan Adams off when Mutt Lange was working with him, and this album was deemed not Canadian enough because Mutt Lange is a Zambian and not a Canadian. So they deemed that it didn't have enough Canadian content because the producer wasn't Canadian enough, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, it's got Can't Stop This Thing We Started, Thought I Died and Gone to Heaven. Do I Have to Say the Words, which is another one of those sappy ballads, and There Will Never Be Another Tonight is the most rockin' song on here. But the reason I bring this up is Can't Stop This Thing We Started. I can't remember the music video off the top of my head. But the question is, do you guys know who the director of Can't Stop This Thing We Started's music video was?
Not a clue.
Do not.
Well, the director of this video, I showed this album last week, is none other than Kevin Godley from 10cc and Godley and Cream.
Really?
So he made the music video directed by Kevin Godley of Godley and Cream. Weird collaboration, but I think it's just because he was a director, which I never realized that Kevin Godley did much directing, but apparently he does. So the music video for Can't Stop This Thing We Started was directed by 10cc's Kevin Godley. Pretty neat connection there.
Cool. Brian from Tokyo wants to know the origin story of our Live from the Basement. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Live from the Basement is not my name. I have permission to use it. There is another channel on YouTube, Glenn Calloway from the Basement, my good friend Glenn, who lives a couple hours away from me here in Southern Ontario. And this originally started, it was Glenn's live stream with myself and Sam St. John. And it evolved over the years when the three of us did it for a number of years, and Alex from Beer and Vinyl joined us, and Jason Arsenault joined us. There was 5 of us at one point, and Glenn decided to walk away from the live stream and handed over the hosting to me. And I said, "Are you cool if I still call it Live from the Basement?" He said, "Absolutely." Glenn's still my buddy, and so I've just stuck with that name. And when both Joe and Daryl joined YouTube, I was one of the first subscribers to both of them, and we sort of bonded over our shared affinity for the Great White North in which we live, and just became friends. And when Alex and Jason and Sam went off to do other YouTube things, these two evolved into my co-hosts and my very good friends. I mean, we talk all the time outside of this little thing, but that's how we became what we are, and that's where the name comes from. So I think Glenn and Sam started this show, and it was a Wednesday night show 3 years ago almost is when that started. So I've been hosting it for 2 of the last 3 years. So there you go, Brian. That's the history.
I like to think of myself as the Nathan Lucas of this show, hanging around in the minors for forever, and then finally got called up to the big show.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm the Savage. I'm the rookie.
There you go.
I guess I'm George Springer then. I'll go with that.
Perfect. I'm good with all of that.
Perfect. The Lisbon concert was a DVD along with the Greatest Hits Comp. Good show. Yeah, it's a very good show. I just prefer the Wembley show better. Is that the one where he's riding a guitar like he's on a mechanical bull? Oh, he's probably talking about the video. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I remember I could sing the song in my head a little bit. It's not one that I blocked from my memory, but I can't think of the video.
Don't sing it because Brian's an asshole when it comes to copyright. We'll get a strike. So don't.
I'm surprised. We'll see if it gets pulled down just because we're mentioning titles. But
yeah, probably.
Yeah, a whole 2 hours dedicated to the love of his music.
He should be flattered, and he should be paying us for promoting his music, because without us, no one would know who he is.
Exactly. So. Damn it.
Okay, Joe, we're back to you.
Nope.
No? Daryl?
Yeah. See, you were right.
No, I just went.
He just went. So I was right. So
well, I thought you were just talking a bunch. So
well, no, because I wanted to answer Brian's question.
I'm going to bed. I'm out. I'm going to bed.
It's almost time, old man.
It is almost. Yeah, it's almost 8:00. I'll be up till 1. But anyway, okay, I got 2 more that Brian wrote. And again, I'm not positive that Valance was in. We talked about him being with Joe Cocker earlier, but he's also on this one. And When the Night Comes is on this Joe Cocker album. This is a little bit later in Joe's career, I think. Time, date, whatever. 89, I think, something like that. But yeah, so they must have formed some kind of friendship bond or whatever. And or like I said, I think Joe found songwriters, and then Joe continued to kind of go back and if he had a big hit, which that one from Teacher was, if he had some success with it, he'd probably go back and go, hey, you guys got any more laying around that you're not going to produce or you're not going to record? How about give them to me? So there you go, a little Joe Cocker and When the Night Comes from not his biggest album, but not bad. One Night of Sin. Is Leave Your Hat On here? I think it is. Nope, never mind. Never mind.
All right. Last round here. I'm going to show 3 real quick because I can. There's a lot more I could show, but I'm just going to show this. Another pretty hard to find on vinyl. So Far So Good. Probably his biggest selling CD. It was a greatest hits up to the point that this was released in 1993. So it was his greatest hits up to and including whatever was on Waking Up the Neighbors. And it also had Please Forgive Me, which was on a movie soundtrack. Again, I don't remember which one at the time. So that was kind of like the single that accompanied this compilation. And this thing sold like friggin' hotcakes. So really hard to find on vinyl, actually. I do have 2 copies because I was able to find one for the wife, but they're not cheap. So it's 2 LP. There's Brian sitting on a Jeep. I had this on CD back in the day and played the absolute living daylights out of it. So if you ever see one of these, grab it because they're not the easiest thing in the world to find. And the last 2 that I'll show, I know I'm the only one that has these, so we'll show them. Brian put out 2 box sets. So the last 2 years, he's done 2 residencies at the Royal Albert Hall in London, England, where he did 3 night show, and then the next year another 3 nights. And so this is the first one. This is live at the Royal Albert Hall. And what he did at those concerts is each night he played one of his albums in its entirety. So for 3 nights, 3 albums in its entirety. And so the first year, it was Into the Fire one night, another night was Cuts Like a Knife, and another night was Waking Up the Neighbors. Now, the controversy with the first issue is one of them they recorded with the live audience. The other 2 were rehearsal recordings without an audience. So they were live, but live off the floor. And that pissed a lot of fans off, including myself, because you're like, well, that's not what you advertised this as. You kind of ripped me off. I don't remember which is on this one is the one that was recorded with a live audience. I don't remember. He followed that up the next year with Volume 2. It's still called Bryan Adams Live at the Royal Albert Hall. And this year he did Reckless, 18 Till I Die, and So Happy It Hurts. And every year, or all 3 shows this year, each one of those was live with an audience the way that it was supposed to be. And they're really well done. I love live albums, and it's very cool when you get to hear an album in its entirety live. So good box sets. There you go. That's all I got.
Those
That-
look like vinylstoragesolution.ca's box set sleeves, are they not?
They are Vinyl Storage Solutions box set sleeves. They come in several different sizes. You can get them with or without a flap. So, if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, maybe click on that QR code and use the promo code Northern10 to get your Vinyl Storage Solutions box set sleeves.
Excellent.
Just saying. Sure. I'm not the only one with the box set. Rick has it too.
Yeah.
Got the second one. Yeah, the second one is absolutely the better one. They also both have a DVD of the performances as well. So, second one is really well done. The first one would be just as well done, if not for those two that were live off the floor, but they were sort of falsely advertised, in my opinion. So
that's another one of those venues too that if you're going to go see a show, that's a place to go. I think, right? That falls into the pantheon of, for us, Massey Hall, Madison Square Gardens, things like that. I think Royal Albert definitely falls into that. So that's cool.
Yep, absolutely. All right,
the Wembley one would have been cool too. Seeing any concert at Wembley would be cool too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, true.
All right, so I'm not going to talk too long about this, but you did mention duets earlier, Rob.
Yep.
So I'm going to end this off with, I don't want to say it's his biggest duet. In fact, this is not a duet; it's a trio. And this is from the Three Musketeers soundtrack, which I don't have. However, I figured might as well talk about Rod Stewart because he collaborated All for One with Rod Stewart, and of course, this is the one that has Tonight I'm Yours. What else? Young Turks is on this one, and of course, they're all looking dapper on the back in their Navy outfits or whatever they are.
Yeah.
So he did that, and the other guy that was in the trio is none other than Sting, who I think we've talked about kind of on the Wanker episodes, but I mean, there's no denying how big that song was, All for One, for all three of these musicians, not just Bryan Adams, but Sting and Rod Stewart alike. It was a huge thing. I could take or leave the movie. I'm okay with the song, but it's not my favorite. But I will end it there. I mean, it's a song that made three musicians even bigger. And let's face it, I mean, Rod Stewart had been around for 30 years by this point, 25 years, and still making music. There we go. End it with Three Musketeers.
Okay. Joe, you're last up.
All right, we're going to finish off with one of my favorite Canadian bands, and we've mentioned one of the gentlemen from here. So I talked about Bob Rock earlier, and there is a song on this one, It Won't Be You, Paul Hyde, Rock and Hyde. But yeah, Bob Rock. So Bob Rock, who did Motley Crue, and that's where Bryan Adams got in with Motley Crue, and Bob Rock that did Metallica, and there's probably some Metallica. That's the thing, is that out of Vancouver, now Bryan doesn't live in Vancouver anymore, but out of Vancouver, there was a lot of that stuff going on because there was the Bruce Fairburns, the Bob Rocks, the Mutt Langes was probably there for a long time. Like AC/DC came to Vancouver, Metallica came to Vancouver, all those guys. Yeah, it's just, it was like a big, lovely place to be. And this is still sealed. And I'm not, well, I know why, because I got 2 copies, but I'm not sure why, but this is still sealed, like sealed. I have 2 copies. So that's why this one's like this. And it's got the nice hype sticker. So no, I'm not opening it. Sorry.
I'm not asking you to.
Not this time. Because I have another copy. I would if I didn't have another copy, but I've got one. So
that's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, you're the only one. Stuck in the Rain, Here's the World. I really like these guys, Bob Rock, Paul Hyde. But songs written by Bryan Adams, and I'm not sure if Jim was on here or not. And it's not open, so I can't look on the album and see if you
just have to open it.
I must really like this album because it's unopened, and it's actually got 2 Vinyl Storage Solutions.ca sleeves. I'm not exactly sure what the hell's going on. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, there you go. Wrap it up twice. Wrap it up.
Better to be safe.
It is better to be safe than sorry. And make sure it doesn't cut like a knife. Wait a minute.
There you go. Well, guys, that was Bryan Adams.
And
I
that
can't
was
believe we talked for 2 hours about Bryan Adams. And more importantly, I can't believe that people stuck around for 2 hours to hear about Bryan Adams. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. That's astounding. I figured as soon as people heard that I wasn't joking about talking about Bryan Adams, I was waiting for the viewership to just go. But everyone stuck around. So thank you.
They did. Yeah. You know, again, I reiterate the fact that he is a very talented man. And obviously, I just showed 12 albums he's written songs on. There's other ones that I didn't pull out. He's had so many collaborations. And then the people that he have collaborated with have moved on and done other things as well. Yeah. You know, you don't get to become a Canadian icon, which he certainly is, without having a little bit of talent along the way.
I didn't see him in the comment section. I didn't pull the record, but if Music Talk was here, he even collaborated with Billy Joel in the mid 2000s. I can't remember exactly why, but they even collaborated.
We should also mention Bryan Adams is from Kingston, Ontario, which is also the hometown of the Tragically Hip, which, if you're Canadian, the most iconic band other than maybe Rush. Definitely the most Canadian band ever.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Also the hometown of Dan Aykroyd of Blues Brothers fame. So there's got to be something in the water in Kingston, Ontario.
Glorious Sons, Headstones as well. All out of Kingston.
And only an hour away in Napanee is Avril Lavigne.
Well, you had to ruin that. It's just like saying, you know, I'm always about, hey, Stratford, Ontario, the band and the Full Tilt Boogie Band. Oh yeah, and Justin Bieber.
I was cheering for a Bieber the other night, though, and I don't think I'd ever say that about 8 months ago. I don't know.
We had a different kind of Bieber fever.
It was a different, yeah, exactly. So,
exactly.
Yeah, Kingston's crazy, really, when you think about it. So,
yep,
it's pretty awesome. And I've been to Kingston. It's a nice little place, actually.
I've been there more times than I was in the prison there.
Were you? Yeah. I've seen the prison there, but
no,
you did the museum tour.
Let me rephrase that. Not the one that you visit as the tourist attraction, like the actual prison.
Yeah,
well, I was there as a guest. Quick story: does anyone give a shit? Probably not. There's the medium security one, and then there's the minimum security Bath Institution, which is right across the road. And I was there for 2 days as a industry visitor because in the prison they have a woodworking shop where they make furniture for the Canadian government. And I was a supplier because I'm in the commercial woodworking industry, still am to this day. And so I had to go in and essentially spend 2 days doing hands-on training with the inmates in the furniture shop. That was not fun. I did not. Security obviously is you know, getting through security is a thing. And I had an escort that was with me the whole time. And, you know, you're walking through the general population, everything. And my escort's like, don't worry, I've only been shanked 6 times.
Just half a dozen.
You're not making me feel any better. But yeah, so that was my time in the Kingston institution.
Hopefully it wasn't my buddy Dave, who also used to work at Kingston Pen, and told me a story about he got the tour of Paul Bernardo's cell, which is crazy.
I bet.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Good Lord. He
had a television and a PS3 and everything in there.
Which is bullshit. For those tuning in, not in Canada, Paul Bernardo is our most notorious serial killer, still incarcerated to this day, somewhere in Quebec. But schoolgirl killer and the Scarborough rapist. So scary stuff. Anyway, on a lighter note. Let's go around the horn as we always do. Daryl, what's going on your channel?
Absolutely nothing. In fact, what I've been doing a lot these days is I have a whole pile of records I got to clean with my Spin Clean, which is taking forever because I just can't afford the next step up. I wish I could, but I can't.
Yeah.
So I'm doing them all by hand, so it's taking me a bit. So I haven't had any time to do any videos, but One of these days, I'll get through my list of things that I want to do.
All right. Joe, what's going on at the store?
Store's good. Store's steady. We've still got our Rocktober special, buy one, get one half off, and 10%. We sold a bunch of Taylor Swift albums. I got some more coming in. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's not crazy, but it's good. Bruce Springsteen is somewhere between Mississauga and Regina because it comes out Friday. So we should have it on time for Friday. So looking forward to Nebraska. Looking forward to the movie. Looking forward to all of that. So
I'm beyond excited. Beyond excited.
It's going to be. I'm really looking forward to hearing how that sounds because the little snippets sound really, really good. So
I'm most excited for the Electric Nebraska.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see the movie, but I got no one to go with, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Because no one else in my life gives a shit about Bruce Springsteen. So.
Joanne will go. Joanne will come with me, so that's good. What else? Go Jays. That starts Friday. Looking forward to that. And yeah, real quick, Darius Rucker was phenomenal. If you get a chance to go see him. Now, yeah, it's a little more country, but it's as country as the Eagles are country, really for the most part. And if you took Hootie and the Blowfish and you add a banjo and a steel guitar, which is what he did for all of the Hootie songs, like he did 5 of them, they still sound perfectly fine. His band was phenomenal. The opener, again, Cassius Culpepper, look him up. He's got some stuff on YouTube. It's a really good sound. I really liked it. So if you get a chance to go see Darius, go and see him. And then, yeah, looking forward to the big Foo Fighters show, but that's not going to be till sometime next year. Oh, and last thing, I take back a little bit of the grief that I gave Rush for not playing other places in Canada because they opened up Vancouver and Edmonton as well. So we'll see. Tickets are freaking ridiculous with dynamic pricing. Like it's that same shit as before. Like people are paying $400, $500 for the $100 ones, but maybe Edmonton. We'll go see. It's early December though, so that kind of sucks to have to travel to Edmonton possibly in December. So
Geddy Lee's going to be busy for the next little bit watching the Jays in the World Series.
Yeah, Eugene Levy was awesome. He's like wringing his hands. He's just, oh my God, this is it was nice to see. It was good. So yeah.
Speaking of the Jays, how many of the original 93 and 92 Jay players do you think are going to show up possibly in Toronto for the home opener of the second game?
Yeah,
I gotta think they gotta have Joe Carter throw the first pitch.
Didn't he throw one in the last series? I thought Joe did.
No, that was they had Encarnacion, Bautista, Donaldson, and Marco Estrada.
Yeah, Donaldson's was a good pitch actually. It was pretty decent. So,
I've seen a few Jays being interviewed. Like I don't know, it was on CBC. I think they interviewed Dave Winfield. He lives in California. He's not coming, but he's rooting for them. And they interviewed Ernie Witt from back in the the late '80s. That dynasty. Like I don't know. I mean, you're not going to see Alomar because he's banned from baseball for life. So but I mean, they got to trot out Joe Carter at some point. I'd imagine you'll probably see Todd Stottlemyre because he's actively promoting the Jays on social media quite a bit. He's like a financial planner now or whatever, but motivation.
Olerud and Borders would be cool to see.
I saw an interview with Borders the other day, yesterday or this morning, I think. So, maybe you'll see him. He was the MVP in 92. So, but I think you'll definitely see Joe Carter because he still works for the team in a limited capacity doing, social engagements and that kind. He's been on the Rogers TV commercials and that. So,
and did you ever think you'd want Don Mattingly to win a World Series?
Never thought in my life I would be cheering for that, but I sure as hell am now.
But I am now. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, it's going to be good. I want it all. I keep listening to that album. So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's it. I don't have any new thing on my channel, but I'm hopefully going to have a video this Sunday. Hopefully it's going to be the Juno video following up on Daryl's that I've been promising for a couple weeks. So that's it. To everyone that joined us tonight live, thank you very much. We always enjoy chatting with you. For those that are going to watch us later on, thanks for spending a couple hours with us. We will be back next week to talk about something exciting. I'm sure it won't be Brian Adams. So that's everything. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Go Blue Jays.